Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'll be swinging the gavel because our chair is in Zoom land today. Do we want to wait for Todd? Should we go on under? We're just-
Think so.
All right. So let's, last meeting's minutes. Motion to approve them.
So
All in favor?
I.
New business,
Business licenses.
business licenses. So I don't have an itemized.
No, it's usually the consent agenda.
Okay, all right.
Encompasses both.
All right. You guys have a chance to look at the business licenses?
Yep.
What do you guys think about TRJ?
I think we ought to take a closer look at TRJ.
Yeah, so do we have a motion to approve the business licenses?
I'll make a motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Now new business?
Yes, sir.
All right, discussion and possible recommendation on the Winlock permit refund policy.
Well, I'll kind of open that up. So in the process of converting Winlock's building permit documents to Toledo, I ran across this and went looking, and Toledo does not have a permit refund policy. So wanted to bring it to council to discuss whether or not it's a good idea, and if it is, and with any changes that you may want to recommend, that you would bring a recommendation to council to adopt that sort of policy. Actually, Todd, you want to sit at the table so you're on camera and Steve can interact?
He waits until we approve his license before he comes in.
Yeah. Do that.
Oh, unlicensed planner, man.
So Cindy, what does a refund policy normally look like?
Well, I don't know.
Permit refund.
I don't know. I was surprised to see one from Winlock.
I read through it and I thought it was actually quite well developed. That it didn't leave a whole lot of gray area on whether you did or did not get a refund. And it put most of the responsibility, in fact, all the responsibility on the applicant to show that he actually has the refund coming.
So I guess my general question is do you think Toledo should have one? And if so, if you like the one that Winlock has developed, we can plagiarize.
Yeah, plagiarize it.
I don't know why not. It seemed like it was well thought out. I think it was an 80% maximum refund, regardless of the circumstances. Yeah. And a lot of it had to do with timing.
So we would make a motion to suggest to city council that they would adopt Winlock. Okay, well, any motions?
I move that we recommend to city council that we adopt the refund policy as Cindy wrote it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Other business, city-based email addresses versus personal emails.
Wait, this is the wrong agenda. There's an updated agenda with the global stuff added onto it.
Oh, Global, you're right. Excuse me.
Should that be number one then?
No, let me snap it off. That's why I just ran it here.
Is it right there?
It's not on that sheet either, but it's on the board up here.
Oh, okay.
Is that the 20-page permit?
Oh, I did not. I probably.
Yeah, I think so.
It's,
The 505 development.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the staff report.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Rachel, for that.
Price of what?
Are we doing the global permit on the manufactured
Yes, sir.
home?
And we're only doing that because of the timing, right?
Right.
Normally, we would not do that because of last meeting, we said,
Right.
no, we're not gonna do that, but
And I
It
haven't,
hasn't passed yet.
I haven't taken that, what I need to do is prepare the staff report and get that to council so that they can approve that policy change. And once they've done that, then we'll be on that path.
okay.
But until they've done that, we're kind of stuck reviewing them at planning commission. So that's why this one comes before you tonight.
I read your staff report, Todd, and it looked fine. I agree that the setback issue needs to be addressed. But I don't have any problem approving that and sending it forward.
So
With those recommendations.
So the setback is an issue for the applicant. So what I did was I read the code and figured out what the setback requirements were. And it looks to me like the code would define that as a through lot. But we
Right.
don't have standards for through lot setbacks. We do have setbacks for front yards, and those apply to all street frontages. So in this case, by the way the code's written and absent any other direction on how to interpret those for a through lot. What I've done in the staff report is I've applied the 2 front yard setbacks as the code indicated. The applicant's site plan has a 10-foot setback along the old Pacific Highway on the other side opposite 505. So I put the requirement in there as the code stated, but as I'm bringing up and as I brought up in the staff report, there was a little bit of ambiguity about how you interpret that. Because the through lot standard, it looks like this lot meets the definition of a through lot because it has street frontages on both sides. But yet there's no standards for that. So how we interpreted it is the only way that code gives us to do that. But I think that planning commission has some flexibility then in interpreting it as a through lot and maybe applying a slightly different standard. As staff, I can't change that. As planning commission, you're a discretionary body, so you have a little bit of an ability to modify those setback standards if you see fit. And the reason that you would do that is because it appears to be a through lot and we have no standards, so we're applying a slightly alternate standard and allowing a variance of it's not a variance process because those are approved by council, but allowing this to be interpreted as a through lot and to have a 10-foot setback along that line instead of the 15-foot. And I believe the applicant is here.
No.
No, okay. The applicant was going to be here or have his builder come.
They're here for him.
He had voiced an opinion that's what he would like. He believes that he had been approved of that before. The city's never approved the building permit before. This is our first run at it. The county had reviewed it previously, but they shouldn't be approving city building setbacks. So if they ever approved that, it wouldn't have been valid then either. So any prior interpretation that's been done really doesn't hold, but I do believe that there's some ambiguity here that might require a little bit of planning commission consideration and discussion. And I think that absent some action by council to amend the code and actually have standards for through lots that are different, I think you do have a little bit of discretion in how you apply those. So the staff recommendation is for what the code says as clearly as I can see, but you all could disagree with me and I wouldn't have my feelings hurt.
So I would make a motion that we interpret that as a through lot and give some leeway with regards to the setbacks to allow that to happen the way it's shown on the drawings.
The picture we see in the file, is that the actual mobile home that he's going to put up?
I don't believe that's the exact footprint that he's got a couple. The unit that he submitted in the elevation photograph drawing, I believe that is the actual unit. And it looks like that one does meet all of the mobile home. I conditioned him to meet the mobile home standards in there, but it does appear that this unit as pictured does meet those standards. So we're going to carry the conditions forward. That way, when Robert gets to review the building permit, he can implement those. If he sees any variation in what's required and what's provided, then he can make sure that it meets the minimum standards that way. But that photograph that's there, that's kind of small on my screen, but that is what's been provided to us as representative of what the unit will be.
Right. So other than the setback issue, which is solved with the,
So are we going to get a second on this before we discuss?
oh. So who made the motion?
Steve,
I made the motion.
Oh, well, I'll second it.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Talk about it.
now we can talk about it. Yeah, so go on, Tom.
I forgot what I was saying.
You're saying that.
Oh, there's no reason to. There's no reason not to approve it, other than the setback is a maybe, but it can be solved with what you were talking about, the through.
Well, and what planning commission has done historically is approve the land use. He's still got to go through the building plan review and permit fees to comply with all that. As a manufactured unit, those are less. Those are pre-certified at the state level. So really all the building official does is verify that it's a certified unit and then looks at the anchoring and so on and so forth. So once we approve land use, it will go on to additional staff review after this. It doesn't issue the permit here, but that modification to the setbacks will mean that he doesn't have to resubmit modified layouts and site plans.
Mhm.
He can go forward with it as proposed, basically.
Mhm. So I've had a motion and a second, now I can see all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fine.
So
And that's a 10-foot setback.
10-foot rear as shown on the plan. Because it's a through lot. Those planning commission's finding.
Rachel, the city-based emails?
Yeah,
How
so-
about that?
Yeah, we're gonna get you guys all your own emails. Cindy's already have those made up. We will,
Well, let's, a little background.
yeah,
So, city council went to a newly elected officials training. And the, Public Records Act was discussed. And right now, you using your personal emails subjects you to the possibility of a public records request.
yeah.
So, granted, so there's a couple of options. You can use your city email in a web browser if you'd like. Or I can actually send you instructions if you do want to set it up as another email in your email client, whatever you use. So it's whatever your preference is, and I can reach out to you individually and work through that. But it's highly recommended to.
They're gonna be similar to what you did for me, Cindy.
Correct. Yep. But highly recommended that you switch to a city-based email. So no motion, just wanted to put it out there.
Discussion, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Sounds
all right,
good.
so I will follow up with each of you.
All right. Next item is the Open Public Meeting Act and Public Records Act.
Yeah, so we can have those submitted to whatever email of your choice. So those are both required for your positions. You're supposed to get them within, I think, 90 days of taking office, something like that. They do need to be done every 3 or 4 years. So there's a couple ways that you can take them, but the AWC has good classes. So I can send all of you that information. So if you guys could work on it, and I think the classes are only like 45 minutes. They're actually really pretty interesting. The Open Public Meetings Act will kind of tell you the flow of the meeting. It just gives you how a council meeting and how any kind of meeting is supposed to be run. There's a lot.
Have you
of
been able to find mine, Rachel?
I think yes, I've got your Open Public Meetings. I don't know if I have the public records one, but I can check. So
Okay,
I do have your Open Public Meeting though.
All right.
And those are all just, you can do them online. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just throw them on, if your headphones on while you're at work, listen to them, and then you'll get a certificate. And I think those are both self-certified ones. So at the end of it, you just click that, you've taken it and you fill out your certificate. And then if you guys could email them to me or drop them off to me, I can put
Nice.
them in your files. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Easy enough. Sounds good. Moving on to the public input section. Anybody got anything to say? Mayor?
just a moment. Did we haven't, I thought Eric had told me that they had placed the street vacation for the,
So
onto this agenda.
I can talk a little bit about that. I've been working a lot with Rachel and the applicant to kind of help to move that one forward. Because this one kind of initiated it at council, then it's not a required step for planning commission to review street vacations and make a recommendation. And they're trying to move this along a little bit faster. And since council's already considered this and entered into a memorandum of understanding with the applicant. In this case, planning commission's input, it just wasn't as timely and as needed as it would have been previously. So council had basically decided, I believe last Monday, to not seek planning commission's input on that street vacation and just move it forward for council action. And because it's not a required process at planning commission, they're allowed to do that. They punted the other ones to the planning commission because they wanted the input, and this one, they don't.
Mhm.
So
And we're only referring to the 4.5 feet that's inside this building.
Correct.
Oh, we're talking about the,
the street vacation,
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Okay, what I thought I'd heard, because I watched that meeting last night, was that we were not gonna hold two separate public hearings. The public hearing would be held by council.
Yes.
But that it would go before planning for recommendation only based on the merits of the appraisal and the application, and then move on to city council for public hearing and acceptance.
well, I believe you can discuss it tonight, and if there's members of the audience that want to provide input here, we could forward that on to council for consideration. They're
I
gonna
don't care one way or the other.
So I mean, certainly if you or any others have input on that, the correct place to offer that would be during the open public record hearing at council. But we could take that here and forward it on to council too. I mean, if there's input that planning commission wants to have on that, you all are also members of the public and an appointed board. I believe you could if you wanted to.
I think we talked about it last
I
night.
thought we did.
We did. We
Yeah.
talked about it at the meeting last time, just generally, typically in the past, we've had two public meetings on them, one at planning commission and the other one, but.
Okay.
But the first public meeting at planning commission is not required, but certainly you could offer council input if you want. I mean, there's nothing that says you can't just because they haven't asked you for it. So if you've got something to say about it, or if you want to take public input on it here, you could, and then we could package that up in the meeting minutes and send it off to council as part of the record on the actual hearing.
I'm satisfied with what we've already done. Personally,
Me too.
Chair Birch, did you have anything else that you'd like to offer on that, or did you want to?
No, I don't have a problem abandoning responsibility for that whatsoever. I mean, I think it's been discussed to death between council and the applicant, and we've had some discussions on it. I don't see a problem with that. Just what I heard in the meeting the other night was contrary to what I thought we were having today. So if we can skip ahead, that's fine.
I feel we can. Public input received. Anybody else from the public?
So,
Yeah.
I have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
The permit for Global came from the city of Winlock, all the top of the permit is the city of Winlock.
It's just because we're using their forms, we're in a process of switching over from using Lewis County. I explained that to him too, I said, it says Winlock, but it's actually city of Toledo that will issue a permit.
So I understand that. Is there an ordinance in place that says you can use a permit that doesn't have Toledo's name on it?
We can give you the permit, we were trying to get him rushed through it because I know he's had a lot of issues. Trying to get the permit, so before we had them switched, I did let him know. And they are where we're using their permit forms.
Because like my problem is if, say something does go sideways and I break a water line or something and I have to have my insurance get involved. The second they see that my permit's good for the city of Winlock,
The permit will actually come from the city of Toledo, that was just the application, he doesn't have a
Oh,
permit yet.
okay.
Yeah, the permit will actually be from Toledo, that's just the application, and like I said, because he had to refill out the application. He could have either waited, a couple more days for us to get our forms switched over, or I gave him. The Winlock one due to his circumstances and him.
Okay.
Already having done this for a long time.
perfect. So then my next thing is, for different stages of this project, it says review city Napavine, review city Winlock. Do you guys not have a standard book? Are we using everybody else's standards?
Oh, everybody else is standing, it's like a lasagna over there.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
So-
It's just, kind of pain in the butt, and I'm over here trying to figure out what the standard is for X.
So the standards for the city, are the city of Toledo standards. So what it says on the forms, as Rachel said, we're adapting those forms to be our own, and we just haven't yet. in order to not hold this project up for a few days longer and make him wait for us to create the form, we just used the one that we had. Those forms are policy based, they're not adopted by ordinance. Basically, the city can use whatever form that they want for that. It has to be consistent among all the applications, but it can be any one that the city develops. Those aren't adopted by code or by ordinance or anything else. The standards for review are adopted by code. And those are in the city's land development and city building codes, so.
And they're listed online
Yeah,
on
so
their
the,
website.
so when those are reviewed, regardless of who reviews them, they would be reviewed by the city codes and standards. And the permits will be issued by the city. So it's confusing right now and it doesn't look right when you fill out the form for Winlock, but.
Yeah, I was like.
But we're working on it, and we didn't want to hold people up while we were working on it, basically, so we just let everybody use we're basically gonna pirate that form and use it as our own, putting our logo on there and changing some of the
Yeah.
wording so that it reflects the correct processes, but.
Right, so we'll be using Winlock's inspector, and that's why we're using their forms right now. But actually, they've all pretty much been switched over. He was just like the first one to come in when I was getting them, yeah.
But for the standards, those are clearly Toledo standards, there's not a hodgepodge of standards that apply. It is what's in Toledo's code, and those standards are adopted by ordinance and by code, so.
Well, I knew you guys were kind of in the process of changing. My fear was I bid this project, say, per Napvine spec, and then you guys tweak it a little bit. And your spec cost me a heck of a lot more money than Napvine's and something, so.
Well, it's a manufactured home, right, so.
Yeah.
Well, but we're extending the sewer line and
Yeah,
doing all
so
that.
so those approvals were issued by City Public Works. That's who signed the plans and found that drawing complied with the Public Works standards. So if you're bidding something, that's the document you want to look at.
Yeah.
And for that part of the project, you'll want to talk to the Director of Public Works about if you want to do a pre-construction meeting with him or even a pre-bid meeting with him. I'm sure he's open to talking.
Yeah, I spoke with Mike down there quite a bit.
Yeah. So he's the one that will review and approve those plans. The building permits will be issued by the city. They've contracted with Winlock to provide plan review and inspection services, so.
Yeah.
So I may ask, so the front door is facing 505, so that'll become a 505 address? Straight.
I don't do addressing.
Yeah, your address, your address.
That's up to the city.
Yeah, your front door.
I don't know if that parcel would change. It has an address now, I think.
Does it?
Yeah, we have an address on the building
Yeah.
permit application, so I don't know.
Like
if
521,
I don't know as the city would issue an
well, State
address.
Route 505.
Okay.
Yes, how you find,
Yeah.
get the address for that, yeah, but I mean.
And coming, the driveway's coming
So
out.
what's the
on
next step
505,
for-
So you're having to deal with the state for
Does it go to Robert
egress,
Benz?
egress, as opposed to. the
So
city on the other side?
It's gonna be usable for.
So we want to modify the staff report to reflect.
Because he had to-
So the approval
The water,
from planning.
the water main.
Shall
I know that would say that, right?
Side,
Interpreted.
that the city was gonna make. and
So then we're going forward that off to Robert, to see the issues of approval. That's
We
one
will
of
see the
the-
staff report.
Well, what do we?
You can't just like run down this property. and make some tip. We have to deal with the state on-
It's time for a point of order, you rascals. So, everything's cleared up?
I think so. We can-
All right. Yeah. All right, any more public input? Mr. Nacho, he's got some words of wisdom, come
Come
on,
on, Joe.
come on, dude. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Seconded.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Adjourn.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, man.
I'll let you know.
Just ask. Yeah.
Yeah, I live,